like, oh, but you don't look, or you don't look like the traditional like hip hop producer or engineer. Can we trust you? But
this is
The Good Vibes.
The Good Vibes
With DJ Ready D. Only on Good Hope FM.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another special Women's Month edition of The Good Vibes with DJ Ready D. Tonight we are chatting to K Faith via Zoom, and we are bringing you this feature on air as well. K Faith, welcome, and thank you so much for making time for us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's always good chatting.
Yeah, fantastic, man. So K Faith, in the world of music, you have a massive profile and you've been quite busy over the last couple of years. So just for our listeners and the viewers that don't really know much about K Faith, can you just give us a little background?
Yeah, so pretty much my role is I'm an audio engineer that got into music production, started producing music. In a very short time, I was very fortunate to work with a lot of the top industry people in Cape Town and South Africa. And just been doing that for the last couple of years and, just trying to make the best sound possible come out of the mother city, very much driven by the talents in the city and developing that and putting it on a global scale where possible. So yeah.
Awesome. So I mean, your position within hip-hop music and culture, is that something that you chose, or is there something else that kind of steered you in that direction?
So I can actually answer this in like two avenues. In terms of the like sound engineering kind of music production realm, that was never the plan originally when I was still in high school trying to like figure out what to do after school. I was always a creative kid, so I actually wanted to study art. And through like a lengthy process and papers not ending up where they needed to be, I applied for art school at UCT and then got in for a course that I actually didn't want to do at all and was a bit discouraged. And I was like, what now? What am I going to do now? And my stepmom actually said, hey, you've always loved music. You're listening to music day and night anyways. Why not try something within the music industry? Suggested sound engineering. I moved to Cape Town literally a couple of months after finishing high school and started studying sound engineering and fell in love with it completely and in all aspects. And then from there onwards, it's just been the industry that I've been a part of ever since. When it comes to the like hip hop and like the music that I'm into, I used to be, but up until recently, I was the youngest of three siblings. And my older siblings were quite a bit older than I am. So I was just kind of, at the house doing my own thing and, whatever the case is. And because they were much older than me, they didn't play with me a lot. So I ended up watching a lot of TV as a kid. And at that time in South Africa, the only channel that really played music on TV was SABC1. And they used to play a lot of like kwaito, hip hop, house music. Yeah. And I think that's originally where my love for the genre started. And then, just growing up, navigating like my family life and the space that I grew up in. I come from an Afrikaans family. And a lot of the traditional Afrikaans music that I was surrounded by, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. So because I had this like love for hip hop, it's always something I went to try and get away from that kind of space. And hip hop's just been something I've carried through my life as I've moved forward. And I'm super lucky and fortunate to now end up working in the hip hop industry. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make people understand within your household, this music that you're into, seeing that you come from an Afrikaans family and your background. It's something that I can relate to because in the beginning stages, as a young kid coming up in the culture as well, people have never ever heard the music before. People have never ever seen kids dancing on their heads. So to our parents, it was very, very strange.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my kid's possessed. Do I need to take this guy to the priest or something? What's going on with him? He's dancing upside down and doing all these weird things. So, it comes with culture and reflecting and thinking back now, I can actually understand why it looked weird, to my parents at the time. So how did you have to contend with that to try and make them feel comfortable by the fact, that you're listening to something different and the dynamic that comes with that?
You know what? my family was like invested in the important areas, but they weren't very like judgmental of like the music that I listened to and what I consumed and stuff like that. I've always been a very like introverted person, and even during my childhood, like I was kind of in my room doing my own thing, listening to the music I wanted to listen to. So it was never really something that I would like go into the living room and put on loud so the whole house could hear it. So I did kind of keep my own space with what I'm doing. But now obviously I'm like making a living off of this now. So at some point I have to be like, hey mom, this is what I do for a living. So I've explained it to her and I've been like, just trust me. Like I'm succeeding in life and you know, it's a good thing. And she's just been like, you know what, you have my blessing. Just do what makes you happy. So I'm very fortunate that they were super understanding about that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
Lucky in that sense.
So let's go back to the recording studio environment. As a lady in the field,
Yes.
we know that hip hop, unfortunately, is just the reality of it. There's more males that kind of occupy the space, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
So let's go back to some of the first work that you did within the realm. How did it feel to be a lady having to present what you do to a group of guys coming into the studio? Is it something that you felt comfortable with, or did you feel a little bit overwhelmed, or did you get any sort of uncomfortable type of responses from guys, you know, in terms of, whoa, is this girl actually going to be producing or engineering my music, and what does she know, you know, that type of thing? Did you catch any of those vibes from people?
So, you know what, honestly, not as much as you would think, because I was always in the position initially where I was the engineer running the studio sessions. And with being the engineer in a recording session, it's almost like being the driver behind the wheel of a car, you know? So there's this feeling of like, okay, I'm going into that person's space, they hosting me, whatever the case might be, you know? And because I was the only engineer in a lot of these spaces, I usually got a lot of like good response and respect, and people quickly saw like, you know, okay, she knows what she's doing, we don't have to stress about anything like that. You know, initially it started off like that, but there has been the one or two instances where, you know, people will doubt and be like, oh, but you don't look, or, you know, you don't look like the traditional like hip hop producer or engineer. Can we trust you? But I've gotten to a place now where my work speaks for itself, you know? So, yeah, there's been the occasional situation where it's been uncomfortable, or I've had to like prove myself or whatever, but I've tried to look at it as almost my like secret power, my superpower, you know, because at first I'm met with this like, oh, can you do it? And then I show them what I can do. And then people are like, whoa, crazy, let's work. So I've been trying to use it as something to empower myself more so than, you know, to feel like, oh, this industry isn't for me.
Wow, that's awesome. So approaching the production work that you do, there's a very strong association between K-Faith, Youngster CPT, because you've been doing lots of work with Youngster and many of the personalities within his camp and his realm as well. So when you are busy composing and producing the music for, let's use Youngster as an example, how do you approach it? Do you have to sit down and chat with him, or do you produce the music and then present it?
So because I initially did more engineering work for him than production work. Only because at first my skill set as an engineer was something I had a lot more confidence in than my skill set as a producer, because I hadn't done a lot of production at the time that we started working together. And in the initial stages of our working relationship, I kind of got an understanding of the sounds that he likes and the style of music he makes, and, you know, what inspires him and what gets him excited, and, you know, what makes him zone into creating a track. And whenever I sit down and I make a piece of music and I hear something that reminds me of him, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to work on this piece of music and I'm going to pitch it straight to Young. And a lot of times, I think just because we've spent so much time together, just as people in the same space, we understand each other's personalities quite well. So I know when I can pitch something to him and he'll love it. A great example of that is Slam Dunk, the track that he did with Dalez. I literally gave him that song thinking, what are the chances he's going to take this? Because I only had one song to pitch. And he called me and he was like, that's the song. So, you know, like after a while, I feel like I call it people's creative identities. I feel like you start understanding someone's creative identity. And as soon as you make a piece of music that you think will fit into that energy, you make the link happen. And usually it's spot on.
Fantastic. Did you ever have a situation where you had to turn your back on somebody and say, Ish, I cannot deal with this. This is actually going nowhere right now. We probably have to meet some other time and try and regroup and rebuild again. But at this point in time, there's maybe just something, maybe it's chemistry, maybe it's whatever, that resulted in you having to make this decision and put your foot down and go, no more, it's not happening.
Yeah, look, ultimately it does happen, I worked with an artist like very early on in my career, and we were working together like a EP or a mixtape of his, and track by track, the sessions were going so good and everything started working well. And then he released maybe like 3 or 4 songs off the project already, which were the 3 or 4 like strongest tracks on the project. And then I feel like he just kind of lost commitment to the music, and he started rocking up late for sessions, and when we had recordings the performance would just not be there, or you could feel like the commitment to this music just started slipping a bit. And unfortunately, like towards the end of the project, I was like, listen man, those singles we did, incredible, but the rest of this doesn't fit up to that. So I don't think, I don't think this is the project anymore. Maybe work on some other music at another time, but for now, this isn't working. And it's tough, especially like, and this is something where it's sometimes tough being a woman in that space to be the one that goes, hey, I don't think this is working. Because a lot of men might get triggered by that, hearing that, hey, this isn't working for me. So sometimes it's tough there, but you kind of learn to speak to people and to cater to what people want to hear, in a sense of not going like, hey man, your song is horrible. You can be a bit more like, hey, listen, so these are the aspects I think are lacking. This is good. Maybe we need to come back and work on it and whatever. I'm not the type of person just to cut and be like, safe, this isn't working anymore. So yeah, ultimately it does happen, but I feel like now I've got to a space in my career where I'm a bit more picky about the people that I work with, and I've only chosen to work with people who I absolutely believe in and adore, and whose sound is great and who I have good relationships with. So that's happened a lot less in the last couple of years now. You partly answered my question that I was going to come to next, because I was actually going to ask now, what is the protocol and what is the rule before you step into the studio with K-Faith? So I can still answer it. My first thing I ask people is demos. Do you have a demo? Even if it's a rough recording on your phone, even if it's a studio demo, doesn't matter. Send me something so I can hear what you sound like, or a previous release, or something you've released in the past. And I genuinely listen to every single track that gets sent to me. I've never skipped past any demos that anyone's ever sent to me. And a lot of times I will find someone that's super talented and be like, let's get into the studio together and do something. Literally one of the tracks on my up and coming album is a situation like that, where this guy sent me a demo and I loved his voice. And when I was up in Joburg, I told him, come to the studio, let's record something. And it got to the point where it's literally one of the records that's going to make it onto my album now. Wow. So I'll listen to it. And if it's something, if I hear that special something that makes me excited, whether it's the voice or the delivery or the style, I'm there. I'll give anyone a shot. It's not like an exclusive thing to me. It's like, if you have a sound that's unique and that I haven't heard before, let's work. I'm down to work with anyone.
Fantastic. Yeah. Do you have any advice for ladies that do want to enter the realm of production, specifically within hip hop music and culture, because the only two people I can think of is yourself and EJ Van Lyric.
Yes.
And just listening to the way that both of you deliver your work, of course, it's completely different in terms of the sound, the style, the character of what you do.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the lines, there's an energy and there's a very different approach and feel to it. So for women wanting to enter this world, do you have any advice?
Look, I would say ultimately, overall, in general, the industry is not easy. It's not an industry that you can just walk into blindly. It takes a lot of work, but as a woman, it takes that extra little bit of work to, set yourself apart from the general crowd. So if you are entering the industry, you need to enter it knowing that you're going to be working incredibly hard. Like it's not an easy industry, but once you've landed that first successful track, that gives you the means to try and land the next one and the next one and the next one. And that's something that became my pattern. I almost became obsessive with going, what is the next thing? What is the next thing? What is the next thing? So working hard is one thing, but also you need to just have this blind goal set for yourself of going, I am going to achieve being whatever it might be, the best producer in the country, the best producer in Cape Town. You just need to have that goal and just believe in yourself and just blindly try and execute that. And it comes with its ups and downs, and it comes with its good days and its bad days. But if you believe in yourself and you create something that's truly unique that the world can't ignore, I don't see why you won't reach your goals. And I say that to everyone that I work with, and a lot of the young women that I work with. I mentioned that as well. I'm like, it's going to be tough, but there's no reason for you to not make it. And then also seek yourself mentors that'll put you in the right spaces. A lot of the mentors that I look up to are women in the industry, and I follow their paths, and I see wow, there's some women in the South African music industry who are super powerful, extremely powerful. And make sure those are the key players that you get into your circle. So if you need any advice, any kind of movements you need to make, you know who the people are to speak to. They're not obviously going to give you the cheat codes to the industry, but they'll give you some really good advice. Yeah.
Fantastic. Kate, before I let you go, for producers actually listening to this interview right now,
yes,
if you can just give us a quick breakdown, of the equipment list that you use for production.
Yes.
If there's anything specific that you prefer, or anything that you think, that let's say the general producers should be looking at in this day and age, because I know as time progresses, equipment start evolving, the way we actually produce,
Yes.
all those facets start to evolve. But I know there are people out there that still prefer, if you want to call it, the standardized way of approaching production. So what's your take on that?
So if you are a young producer who's trying to, get a little bit of a setup going in your home space, obviously at first starting off with just a laptop and some software is more than decent. If you are trying to, a good entry-level softwares or stuff like Fruity Loops is pretty easy to get into. If you're looking to step that up a little bit, Ableton Live is incredible. It's not super easy to use, but it's an incredible piece of software. It's what I produce all of my music on. If you're looking to, build on top of the laptop and software situation, get yourself a MIDI controller. I myself have my MIDI controller on my left hand permanently. Whatever works for you in terms of size. So if you're not a big keyboard player, you're not a keys player, a small a 24 key, that's absolutely fine. As long as you can get your melodies down, it should be good for you to go. I just happened to get a 41 key keyboard, and it's just what I bought on the day I bought it. There was no reason behind it. Just so that you have a MIDI controller that you can do all of your, melody productions, you can do your beat productions on there. It does help. Sometimes trying to use your laptop keys to play can become complicated. So laptop, MIDI controller, good pair of headphones, that's probably the basic setup that I would recommend for anyone who's, trying to get into it. If you're trying to go a little bit further than just making music and doing some basic productions, I myself at home, I run a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 audio interface. Just very straightforward, little simple interface that you can maybe run a microphone into. In terms of microphones, what I have here is the AKG C1000. Great little pencil condenser, very good sounding, but there's a lot of really good options out there in the world right now for entry-level microphones. I personally would always recommend a good old SM58. You can't go wrong with them. Yeah. It's a lot of people avoid it because they don't understand how to use it, but you really can't go wrong with it. And then, if you can get yourself, if you want to level up beyond that point, maybe a pair of nice little 5-inch monitors to use at home. You don't necessarily want to go bigger than 5-inch monitors because your neighbors and your parents might start shouting at you for being loud. Laptop, MIDI controller if you can. If you want to level up a little bit more, get yourself a decent pair of headphones. If you want to level up a little bit more beyond that, maybe a small 2i2 interface and a microphone. And if you want to add a little bit more to that, a pair of 5-inch monitors for home monitoring. And that's pretty much all you need to start at a basic point. Yeah.
Thank you so much, K-Faith. Thank you so much for making time for us and for all the little gems that you dropped in this interview. It's truly appreciated. We do appreciate the work that you are putting out there, and we do salute you, for everything that you are doing. And, for me personally, I can fully relate to your story as well. And I know the music industry on so many levels, it's not an easy pathway to be on. But you showed, that you can practically stand the test of time, and you're navigating through, all the challenges. So we definitely salute you for that. We are about to drop the song that you did with Youngster CPT and EJ, of course. Yes. Can you please do us the honor of introducing the track?
Of course. All right. So up next, we've got the banger itself, Proudly Cape Tonian by K-Faith, featuring the one and only Cape Crusader, Youngster CPT, and our boy, EJ CPT. Here we go.
K-Faith, if people want to reach you, check out your work, and also just follow you, how can people get in contact? And most importantly, how can people purchase and support your music?
I am on all social media platforms, the normal ones, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I am probably the most active in my Instagram DMs, so if you want to reach out to me and send me demos, you can do it there. On my Instagram page, actually on all my social media pages, my email address is in there. Send me tracks. I'm super keen to hear anyone's demos out there who's listening to this. And then, that's probably the best way to reach out. Just drop me a mail, DM me on any of the social media platforms. I am actually quite open with my communication there. So I'll see your message and respond to you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
This